All right, so Johnny, what is it going to be like on that Sunday afternoon, Father's Day in Chicago, as SHRM's new CEO standing in front of 16,000 HR practitioners for the first time? What are you going to say to them? Can you share some of your message?
So yeah, kind of. First of all, it's going to be overwhelming, and it's also going to be sort of a deja vu moment. And this is where it comes from. I was once the chairman of SHRM back in 2005. So from 2005 to 2007, I was a chairman and took the stage at 2 annual conferences to actually speak to the group about our vision. And in many ways, as much as things have changed, they've stayed the same. The challenges confronting our profession are real, and they seem in some ways obstinate. In some ways we've progressed. We're not needing to have those conversations about having a seat at the table, but it's an adjacency now. So the question is, you're there, what are you saying? What are you doing? What's your impact? So my comments are going to be about, now that many of us have gotten those seats at the table, what are we doing? Why are there still questions being asked about where is HR? And that's a plus, by the way, because there was a time when no one asked where was HR because you weren't expected to be at the table. The irony now is you're there and the question's where's HR? That's a real positive, momentum building conversation that I want to have. Is the good news is people are still talking about us. And in fact, they're talking about us because we are critical to every organization's success. So it's going to be very motivational, but also substantively significant in that we're going to have conversations about what each of those 16,000 people need to do when they leave this conference. It's like coming to a church revival on Sunday. Everyone's excited and oh my gosh, you're on top of the world. And then Monday happens, and Tuesday, and Wednesday, and by Thursday, you're done. We've got to figure out how to take what comes out of the SHRM conference, that annual conference, and make it a year-long experience to activate our community, because only us can save us. I know it's grammatically incorrect, but the idea is the HR profession has to step up if it wants to save the HR profession. And that's going to be my message. So I'm excited about it. And as I said, it's taking me back 13 years, who'd have thunk, and bringing me back to the same stage where I'm going to have an opportunity to hopefully re-energize our community to sort of seize the day.
A few butterflies?
No, so because this is so natural to me, it's something I'm incredibly passionate about, the HR profession. So I don't know, I know what I want to say, but I'm sure the moment of course, I'll be really nervous just when you're 10, 9, 8, 7, you're like, oh God, I got to go out there. And now I'm going to date myself. Here's Johnny. It's like the younger kids were like, who is that? But yeah, we know, right? So I'm really excited. I don't know that they're butterflies. I'm actually nervous about, will I be able to say enough and will I be able to cut myself short? I could talk for an hour about what we need to do as a profession, and I want to be succinct, but I want to be clear about the significance, the seriousness of our work, and the import of it.
Is SHRM doing enough to raise awareness regarding sexual harassment?
No, I don't think there's ever enough. It's clearly, I mean, just yesterday, we saw the resignation of the New York Attorney General. And while that wasn't technically workplace harassment as of now, we don't know it to be, these were in their own personal relationships, there are allegations that the former now Attorney General may have threatened using his office and the power of his office to impact these women. So I think there's an opportunity for us to be very thoughtful, engaged in this work, and we're doing it. So shortly after I arrived, a team of us went out to California to meet with the Speaker of the California Assembly and various members there as they're trying to figure out how best to tackle this issue in government. These are elected officials. They're not hired officials, hired employees in the traditional sense. So how do you deal with the issues of power, the power dynamic in that context? So we have engaged there. So I think we should do more of that, state, federal, and local government, to figure out what are the implications. I think there are opportunities for us in higher education, because at the end of the day, many of these students who engage in certain behaviors while in college, somehow we magically believe that they graduate, walk across the stage, and now their behavior is different. Well, no, we've got to start. SHRM needs to be involved in training those students because they are our future workers. There are a lot of other places that we need to engage to ensure that we give all employees a safe, harassment-free workplace. And again, not just limited to sexual harassment, all forms of workforce harassment, workplace harassment.
Are we going to see any sessions during the conference? Is there going to be any kind of a theme around that this coming June?
Yes, the answer is yes, we're going to have these sessions, but I also want us to be really careful not to get into that reactive mode that we have for so long focused on. The idea that we're going to teach you how, we'll train our way out of this, we'll develop our way out of this. The reality is these issues are issues of culture. And that's the big C that we're talking about now. At the end of the day, you can write all of the rules and policies, and you can put people through training 2 times a day, if you will. And if your culture is one that allows this sort of behavior, this malignancy to grow, then it's all for naught. And so we are going to focus on the big C, which is culture. How do we find the right employees, bring them into an environment where certain behaviors are just self-regulated? People have the freedom and the comfort of knowing that if they bring it to HR, bring it to the organization, something will be done. People also know that they're going to be protected, and we won't allow people to weaponize it, accusing people of race discrimination, sex discrimination, what have you, harassment, when it didn't really occur, but you do it because you can, because for litigious reasons, what have you. We have to be very careful. So we at SHRM are going to figure out, and we're going to be leading this conversation around culture. Harvard Business Review, as you know, has written a couple of articles and suggested that culture eats strategy every day for lunch. And I think they're right. And frankly, SHRM should have said that first.
Well, you're saying it now.
That's right,
So,
but first. I mean, really, and that's a shift from, I think, and that's what SHRM's going to be seen as. We're going to lead some conversations and be provocative. I was meeting with a gentleman in India just recently who wrote a fairly interesting, I think it was a Harvard Business Review article, but in it he said, people first, or employees first, customers second. Really interesting. I mean, it turns all of the lines about customer first. And I think he's right. I know he's right. And SHRM wants to ride that a little bit more. If we've got to get home first right, home right first, to say that right, and then go out and begin to build a customer base.